everyone, welcome to this week's video. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about some gift ideas for a watercolor enthusiast, being a gift idea from yourself to yourself or someone that you know. I thought it would be interesting now with Christmas approaching to give a few ideas of watercolor related materials that you could get. And I'll be sharing a little bit of paints, mostly focusing on small businesses or handmade watercolors. I will also talk a little bit about paper and brushes and what else, palettes. So let's start. So let's start with the paints. The first paints I want to talk about are some handmade paints made by a lovely Polish artist. They are called Hungry for Paint. I have a video here on YouTube where I reviewed the first set I got from them. I'm gonna leave a card here for this video if you want to watch. I'll also leave a link in the description below to their shop. Here are the swatches from when I reviewed their watercolors. I had bought this set called Marinero, and it came with these these four lovely colors. The deep, the shallows, algae, and the shore. And then she also sent me samples for these other colors that are really, really nice. So I love these colors. I find that something about the Hungry for Paint watercolors is that most of them have a lovely natural granulation and texture, and many of them have also like 2-3 different colors that show through when you water the paint down. So I'm not sure if you can see here. Here there's lovely texture, granulation. Also here, and this one has also nice texture. So they have very unique colors, and they are not available for sale individually per se, but she sells them in sets, and they are very reasonably priced, I think, for their performance. I have also this I hadn't showed before. This is another painting I did using this set, the Marinero one. It's sold out at the moment, but she has other sets available. And something really nice that she's done this week is she put up for sale some grab bags. So these are mystery bags with 6 different colors that you don't know what colors you will get. She has a list of all the colors that she has available for these grab bags, but you cannot choose, so it's a surprise, which I think is quite nice. And on top of that, she also priced them lower than a usual set, so we'll be paying for 4 half-pence, but you get 6, so I think it's a great deal. I got one for myself, so I'm just waiting for it to arrive. I can make a video about that once it does. And what else to say? You'll see if you watch the video where I reviewed their paints. They are really, really nice. They have a really nice smell, like a natural smell of clove oil. So it was super pleasant to use. I can show you here how the pens look like. They are in this box. I don't think they came in a box. I just put this in this mint box I had with other handmade paints from other sellers. So these are the 4 ones that I got, and they're really nice. So I do recommend getting paints from them. It's, like I said, very unique color combinations, very nicely made, very reasonably priced. And I didn't think, at least to Europe, here I'm in Ireland, this shop is located in Poland, so it didn't take a lot to receive them the first time I got them, but I'm anxious to get the second set, the grab bag. So this is one of the handmade paints I wanted to talk about. Another one that I really love, and I would argue maybe it's my favorite handmade paint that I've bought ever. I put them in this box. It didn't come on this box. I bought different sets from them in the past years, and a few spare colors, and so I had many, and I just decided to put all in one big box. They are called Red Clover Meadow. This is a shop located in Bulgaria, and they have a lovely selection of colors, many of them mineral colors, natural colors. You see here I have quite a few of them because, like I said, I got different sets across the years, and then some spares, and also got some gifted half pence with my orders, and then I just decided to put all of them together in this box. So you see there's a lot of colors that are quite similar because they came in different sets. And the nice thing about them is that they sell them also individually. They sell in sets, and there's also an option where you can choose your own set of colors. So I'm not sure now how many, if it's like 12, 24. I'm gonna leave a link also here to their Etsy shop where you can check that. But they have quite a good range of mineral colors. And something that I really love about their watercolors is I find that the texture looks really, really organic and natural. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. I have here a chart I made with some mixes with some of their colors. And you'll see here that there, of course, here I introduced the ultramarine, that is not a mineral color, but I introduced it here to get a more varied range of color mixes because I had a lot of earth tones. But you can see here that even the mixes with the ultramarine, they look really organic, and I don't know how to explain, but the textures, I find it really, really nice. Particularly, I love paints that have texture. So these handmade colors, they mix beautifully, and depending on the paper that you use, I'll talk about paper afterwards, but some papers, they really make this paint shine. This one, for example, this chart was painted on arches, a cold press, so it really looks nice. The granulated colors, and even the ones that don't granulate heavily, but the texture just looks really organic. I love it. I have another one here. I did with also other colors here, a bit more neutral earth tones, and it's the same. It's on arches. So you see, I use, like, sometimes I use two sides of the paper. Sometimes I take a failed painting and I use to test colors like this. So that's good to see how they perform on good paper as well. And I really love these paints. I will leave a link below so you can check for yourself on Etsy. They shipped really fast. Every time I put an order with them, it was shipped really fast. I didn't take long to receive them. They were in perfect state. They come, I could not find mine, but they come in a lovely cotton bag with the logo of the company, and then the metal watercolor box comes inside of this bag, and a really nice company. And something else that they do is papers, and sometimes they also have ceramic palettes. When I'll be talking about paper and palettes, I'll show you as well. So that's something you can get from them, and they are located in Bulgaria. It's a lovely vendor, and I highly recommend. I can show you here the colors I have, so you can pause and have a look. My favorites, I would say I love They're ultramarine violet, even though it's not a mineral color, but the granulation is just amazing. I love the Mayan blue, the teal blue, Nicosia green, and Mayan green. They're all like really nice. Also, their green earth has a really nice granulation, and their Van Dyke brown has a lovely texture. What else? More handmade watercolors. Now, metallic watercolors. I've talked about this seller here before in other videos. Her name is Claire, and the store is called Claire Chi Studio. They have a store on Etsy, and I think they also have a store outside of Etsy, like an online store as well. And she has like beautiful metallic watercolors of many different tones, chameleon watercolors, and she has this option where you can choose a dot card. And when I say dot card, this is a really generous dot card. Look at this. You can use a lot of paint from this. So you can choose the dot card. Here there are 12, and you choose which colors you want, and she'll prepare it for you. It takes a while just to dry them up before she can send it, but they're really beautiful. And she also has some vintage watercolor supplies. She has been posting now on Instagram about these palettes that she's been making with Polly Pocket old boxes. They look adorable. So I really recommend you go to her Etsy store and check her Instagram as well to see what she's up to. She's always releasing new colors and sets, sometimes in tiny little ceramic palettes, and they perform really nicely. Let me check if I have here the painted samples from this. So yeah, I found them. Here are the samples painted from this dot card here. Look how they shine. Really pretty. Lovely metallic watercolors, handmade. Another small business is not really handmade, but sort of, that I bought from in the past. It's Watercolor Hoarder. They are on Etsy, and the nice thing about this company is that they offer little boxes with colors from determined brands. For example, they will have a set of the super granulation colors from Schminke that they prepare, like they pour into little pens, and you can buy the full set to try them out. Or they will have others from Winsor & Newton, then Daniel Smith, I think Shinhan as well, I'm not sure. But it's a nice way of trying and testing colors that you would like to buy, but maybe you're not fully committed to get, for example, a Schminke full set of all their granulating watercolors, because they're really expensive. So instead of buying the full tube, you can get a little box with a little bit of each of them and see which ones you like more, and then maybe invest in a tube. In this case, I got some Holbein that I wanted to try. I got they're basically more on like pastel colors, and there's this neon here, the Brilliant Rose. They're colors I always wanted to try, but I was not really fully committed to buy a tube of each, because I don't use that much this type of colors usually. So you can see here they are very like, I think they're quarter pens. They're tiny pens, so I chose the colors. There's an option there where you can choose the colors that you want, and then I chose these 7 colors, and then she sent it in this cute little box, which is nice. So that's another option as well. You can go there and check the brands that she has. I think she has many different brands you can check, and if maybe even if there's something you'd like to get but there's not an option at the moment, you can always send her a message and see if that's something that you can get. They're really nice. And the last is also, I would say it's also handmade watercolor is a bigger business than the other ones I mentioned, but still a handmade watercolor. Is A.Gallo. I have a video here on my channel as well where I showed some of their colors that I got a few months ago, some spare individual pens. But in the past years I've got 3 sets from them in different times. So I have this set here that I actually got set 1, and then after I got set 2, so she was selling them with the box empty, half empty, so I put them all together in this box. This is the signature set. They have really nice vibrant colors. There are some colors that are single pigment, other colors are mixes, but it's really nice, really vibrant, as you can see. They have many different sets. They have sets of 6 colors, they have sets of 12, 24, they have individual pens. The only particularity about A.Gallo paints is that they only, how can I say, they only release things for sale once a month in their website. So if you're interested in buying things from them, you should sign to their newsletter so you are aware when the next sale will be. It usually is in the last Sunday of the month, so I think this month will be like something like 27, I'm not sure, but it will be maybe not this Sunday, the next Sunday. You can check their Instagram to know better, but I can leave here the date. And yeah, they sell paints, they are selling now also some type of pastels, they have brushes, they have palettes, they have beautiful things. It's a bit on the pricier side, but really if you are ready to spend a little bit more and get some really nice watercolors, I don't think you will regret this. They come in a beautiful box. They come also with marbled paper around it that is also made there in Italy, if I'm not mistaken, or in France. And yeah, they are really a pleasure to work with. I have also another set I got here. It's a mix of actually a set I got called Landscape and a few spare colors I got as well. I put them in this box here. The Landscape set I have here noted, so it's Italian gold ochre, rosso ercolano, burnt umber dark, sap green, transparent cerulean, dioxazine violet. These are the colors. I have here a color wheel I made from this set in particular. So here I have the colors and the mixes in between the colors, and here we've added dark. I'm not sure which dark I added, if it's black, neutral tint or brown, and here with white. So you see that only with that small set Landscape you can get a really nice variety of tones. This is all made with the Landscape set, so you don't need necessarily to get a big set. Even a small one, you can do a lot of mixing. I think they have also another set, a new one called something about mixing also, that has like yellows, blues and reds. That's supposed to be great for mixing as well, so that can be interesting. And what else? So the last paint I'm gonna talk about, I showed you a bit in my last video if you've watched, are this Kuretake new set called A Nouveau. It's a 24 paint set and they are really nice. I showed you in the last video. I'm gonna leave a card here if you haven't seen it yet. They're all 24 colors, brand new, and I have the colors here. You can see they're really nice, very creamy, very modern looking palettes you can make with these tones. So it's a really nice addition to the Kuretake line. Even if you have the previous sets, You can get this one. There's no repeated colors. It's, like I said, this is a more it's a commercial paint. You can find it on Amazon. I'm gonna leave it here on the description below, the links to buy them in the US or here in Amazon UK. If you want to know more about this, please check my latest video where I did a review about this. They are really nice as well. Next, let's talk about papers. Now, I'm not going to show a lot of papers here. I just want to focus on some more affordable brands that you could, for example, if you're giving a gift, some set of paints and you would like to give a paper with it, or I don't know, if you want a small sketchbook to practice yourself, but you don't want to spend a lot of money. These are some brands that I personally enjoyed using for this type of thing, and they are quite affordable as well, so, and easy to find as well. So the first one I would recommend, I've showed it before in my channel here, is the Bockingford RKB Fat Pot. It's 300 grams per square meter paper. It's cold press, so it has some texture. This one is A5. I'm gonna leave a link below where you can find it on amazon.uk. It's not really expensive, and I find it a nice paper to work with. As you can see here, I've done some negative painting on it on both sides of the paper. This is the back, this is the front. The back is slightly less texture than the front, but not to the point where I really see a difference. I find them both pleasant to work with, so every time I use this type of sketchbook, I use both sides of the paper, which for me is a plus. So you get 25 sheets, meaning 50 pages. And yeah, I have here another painting I did that, yeah, some crystals, you can see here. They work well also with this type of granulating paint. They show very well the texture of the paints. I really enjoyed working in this paper, and I remember, I think when I bought it was around 14 or 13 euro for this A5, which I don't find really a bad price for a 50-page sketchbook, even though it's cellulose, like I mentioned. I think it can behave in a very nice way, similar to a cotton paper. Of course, you have to be careful. Even you see here, you get a bit of buckling, but it doesn't bother me. So that's one that I recommend. I'm gonna leave a card here for the sketchbook tour where I showed my previous sketchbook from this brand, all the things that I painted on it, so I can have a better idea. You can check that out if you wish. Another one that I really love, and then I kind of fell in love in the past year or so, is the Khadi papers. It's an Indian brand, and they make these cotton, it's called cotton rag sketchbooks. They're very simple. You can find them like this with no cover. These are the more affordable ones, and they have also some that are the same size with cardboard cover. Very simple. They have different sizes as well. They have loose sheets you can buy. Here in Dublin I find them in the Evans art shop, and I can check online. I'm not sure if you can find this in Amazon, but you may find it in other online shops like Jackson's, for example. And it's funny because the first time I used Khadi papers, I had gotten a little pack with a cotton rag, but it was a really rough type of cotton rag, and I didn't enjoy it at all. There was too much texture for me. So I don't know, I just didn't want to try them anymore. I thought it was not for me really. But when I bought this little book here, I think it's called a B5. I'm not sure. I'm gonna leave here exactly the name of this sketchbook. I just fell in love with it, mostly because I was using the Red Clover Meadow paints that I shared with you before. So you can see, for example, in this little painting, I used mostly the Red Clover Meadow watercolors, and you can see the handmade mineral paints, they just sing on this paper. I don't know, for me it's just magic. When you use this type of textured watercolor or a granulating watercolor in this paper, they look really nice, and it has this type of how can I say, raw cotton, unbleached cotton look. Is not really white, so I think it looks very beautiful with handmade watercolors. I'm trying to find here other examples. You see, this is another example of a painting. I mostly did all paintings here using mostly Red Clover Meadow watercolors, and they look really nice. And here I have another example. You see the brown. I haven't shared all of them yet. I'm still doing, this was an exercise from Skillshare, a style course I was taking, and then I decided to do like the ABC of animals wearing clothes and accessories. So I use this sketchbook for that, and once I'm finishing, I'm gonna maybe share here in a video. But you can see here the ultramarine blue, how beautiful it looks. The texture here is the Van Dyke brown that I also love, give this very organic look. So I really recommend this if you like this type of look with lots of texture and very unpredictable and organic. Red Clover Meadow and CAD paper is the way to go. And the last one I want to share with you is the I'm not sure how to pronounce that, Handmade. Anyways, this is the brand, and this is their Agave watercolor paper. So this is also nice because they have like the, I think it's 9x12 pad, but if you want to try, if you're not sure yet, if you want to commit, you can buy also this tiny sample that is 8x10.5 centimeters. There are 290 grams, and there's 12 sheets. And I found this paper really nice to work with. You can see here a painting of a little bird I made. It also shows the textures really nicely, I think. And you can do a lot even in a small block like this. So if maybe you, I don't know, you spent a little more on the paints, but you'd like to give a paper as well, this is a nice little sample. It's not too small that you cannot paint anything on it, but I think it's big enough so you can test and have fun and make some trading card size paintings. So yeah, this was the paper recommendations. I had said that I had finished with the paper, but I just realized that I forgot to show a few things that I had separated here. So one is this tiny little book, very lovely book that I got from Red Clover Meadow. I had mentioned that they also sell some paper goods and palettes. This I got with one of my orders. Is a little book that they make with Fabriano paper, and it's held with this nice silk ribbon, and it's a very nice quality paper. I believe it's cotton paper, and you can see here I did some paintings. I brought this on a trip with me. It's really nice because it's compact, it doesn't take a lot of space. So if you are, I don't know, if you are buying some paints from Red Clover Meadow and you'd like to get a simple small sketchbook as well, if they still have it available, this is a really nice one to get with your order. And there was another thing about paper that I forgot to mention. It's not really a sketchbook, but it is a sketchbook, but it's a handmade sketchbook by myself. But I made this book based on a tutorial by Watercolour here on YouTube. She showed how to make her own sketchbook using 2 big sheets of watercolor paper, and that's what I did with this sketchbook here. I shared in one of my previous videos. It can be a really nice working sketchbook. You have here folds that you can use to try color palettes and whatnot. And I think this is also a neat idea if you want to give a gift and you are into DIY. You can do this watercolor sketchbook with not a lot. You don't need a lot of supplies. You get 2 big sheets of watercolor paper. If you manage to get some book binding thread, a paper puncher, and that's it, basically. You can make a book and give it as a gift to someone. I'm really sure that they will love it. This one I made using the Bockingford paper that is quite reasonably priced here in Ireland. I bought it in the Evans Art Shop as well. And as you can see, it's not very thick. This one is 200 or 250, 285 milligrams. But for this type of sketchbook that has a lot of folds, it's better because the thicker paper is harder to fold and it can get a bit clunky. So I find that this works pretty well if you don't use a lot of water. So I'm gonna leave a link here in the description for this video where she teaches how to make this sketchbook if it's something that you are willing to try. And I also did, in my case, I also did this little folder very easily. I just took the measurements of this sketchbook, more or less, and I took some cardboard and I created these folds here. I put an elastic here, and that was it. I created this based on video from Maru Godas, where she was showing how to book bind your own sketchbook. She's mostly a gouache artist, but I think that there's a lot in that video you can use even if you want to make a watercolor sketchbook. So I'm gonna leave a link also here for her video, or you can see also she shows this as an example of a simple cover for a handmade sketchbook. So that's another idea of paper. Now I'm finished. Now let's talk about brushes. I have a lot of brushes and I got used to some of them with time, but lately I've been really enjoying using these ones that I'm gonna show. I only have 3 brands here. Of course there's an infinity of brand of brushes for watercolor, and each person has their own preference. I personally only buy synthetic brushes, so that also limits a bit my choice. And let's start with these ones. These are the Da Vinci Nova Synthetics. I have these 3 here. It's a number 6, a number 3, and a number 0. These are for sale here in shop in Dublin called Universal Art Supplies. I first bought this one to use for fine lines, and I just found myself going for it over and over every time I need to do some detail in fine lines. This is my favorite one. Even though I have other ones, I really enjoyed this one. So this is the number 0, and I don't know, I found just it really performs really nicely. It's comfortable to hold, and so far I have a good experience with it. So when I went to the shop again, I decided why not to try another one, like a round one from the same line. So I got this one, the 6, because I didn't have any number 6 brush, believe it or not. So I got this number 6, and I really love using it because I don't know if you can notice here, it has this ergonomical shape. So in the very middle, it's a bit flat, so you can hold easily. It's not totally cylindrical, you know what I mean? So I find it really comfortable to use, keeps a nice point. And because I liked it so much, I ended up buying also a number 3, but they have many different numbers. I found they even have like 00000. That is a very tiny little minuscule brush that I got. Really intrigued by it. Maybe I'll get it one day to see how tiny of a line I can get with it. But yeah, these are really nice to use, and they're not super expensive, which is nice as well. I'm not sure about their availability. I think maybe you have to go to your local art shop to check for those. I don't think it's easily found on Amazon, but I'll take a look anyways, and I'll see if I can find a set so I can link it here. Another one that I've been enjoying lately is the Princeton Neptune. Last year I got a set of those. You know, there's this set with I think it's 2 rounds, a big flat, and a catstone, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know why I got it. I've seen this set over and over here on YouTube, and I never had the chance to get it. It's not always available on Amazon UK, but I started using now this 4, and I really enjoy it. It keeps a very sharp point, and it's a pleasure to work with. I painted, I used a lot lately to paint, and it's a really nice brush to use. Unfortunately, here in Europe, it's not that easy to find these brushes for sale separately. At least here in Ireland, there is no shop that sells a Princeton Neptune. Not that I have found anyway. And online I only found that one set that I mentioned. I'll see if I can find it on Amazon, so I can link below as well. And the last one that I also been using a lot lately is this Jackson's Studio Synthetic. This is a number 2, but I remember I got it a while ago on a set that it came with a few brushes, different numbers. I had from this number 2, that is the smallest one, I even had, I think, an 8 or something like that. I'm gonna check on their website if they still have these sets. They were quite well priced, and I really like the way they perform. I have made a painting lately. I'm gonna show it here on the screen. It was a huge painting, but there was a lot of tiny details, and I use a lot this little brush here to get these tiny details, and it was really nice to use. I have an extra one I forgot to mention. This is the Tintoretto 2.0 Sintetico Varro Kazan. It's made in Italy. This I bought from A.Gallo as well when I got some of my paints, and I really enjoy using it. I also used it for that big painting that I showed here when I wanted to soften some harsh lines. I wanted to get a gradated effect with the paint, so I would paint it like the negative painting I was doing, and then I would just dip my brush in the water, dry it a little bit, and use it to soften those lines, and it worked beautifully. It's a really nice brush, and you can find it also on Jackson's Art Supplies, or like I said, you can wait for the release date of this month for the A.Gallo website, and then they will be selling all of the brushes as well as the paints. So now I'm done with the brushes. We'll talk about palettes. So last but not least, before I have no more daylight here, it's getting darker and darker. I hope you can still see what I'm showing. I'm gonna talk about palettes, and what I wanted to say is, of course, for watercolor, it's more pleasurable to work using ceramic palettes because they don't the paint doesn't accumulate and bead up as much as in plastic palettes, and they are very easy to clean. So I have here some options of palettes that are reasonably priced and that I enjoy using. This one is from Medine. I got it from Amazon. I really like it because it has all of these wells here, so if you wanted to do something like have a palette with some tube paints here, you can let them dry and keep them always in this palette to use later. I personally prefer just to use when I need it because I don't like to leave my palettes open like this. They get dusty and the dust gets into the paints. But you are free to use it as you prefer. I find it very good because it has a lot of space to mix, and because it can also be used on this side, which is nice as well. It has these wells here. This is square wells, so there are 12 of them, so you can have the option to use both sides. And this is for sale on Amazon. I'm gonna leave a link here for this one. Another thing you can do, which I did also in the past, is in any home store or even in Muji, you can get sometimes things that are made, for example, for a bathroom or for the kitchen, and you can use it as a ceramic palette because there's no hard rule of what you can use or not for painting. So this one I believe I got in Muji. It was in the bathroom area, and yeah, it works perfectly like a ceramic watercolor paint. I have also a long one. It's a bit dirty, so I'm not showing it right now, but yeah, you can also get long ones and things of that sort. You can get it on Amazon, so it doesn't necessarily need to be labeled as a watercolor ceramic palette to be used as such. This works perfectly well, and sometimes you can find them at a good price as well. Another thing that you can do is go to charity shops and take a look. Sometimes they also have this type of little trays or dishes and things like that that you can also use as palettes, and can be pretty interesting as well. And what else? And I have these other ones here that I also got from Clover Meadow. Like I mentioned, they occasionally have some handmade ceramic palettes, which are quite nice. I got these, and I got these as well. This has some paint on it. It's a very tiny one. I find they are quite nice, especially, like I said, if you want to give someone a gift and you want to make a nice little kit. You can choose a few colors. You can put a small little palette, I don't know, a little paper sketchbook like this. They have everything, so you can make a nice gift to yourself or to someone else buying things from the shop. Like I said, it's one of my favorite handmade paint shops on Etsy. And the last thing I wanted to share, no, I lie. Almost the last thing I wanted to share is this other palette. It's not a ceramic palette. It's a quite affordable palette I got on Amazon. I decorated myself with these stickers. I wanted a palette that I could create a selection of colors. I wanted to do a palette with my favorite colors from all the brands that I have, mostly Sennelier, because the Sennelier I mostly have tubes. Excuse me for the situation of this palette. As you can see, it's very well loved and used, and I used it a lot for the painting. The last painting that I shared was a huge painting, and I used a lot of blues and purples and pinks. it was all with this palette here. So yeah, I used mostly Sennelier. There are some Schminke as well, and I wanted just to share the palette itself. It's a nice palette. It comes with 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 18 wells. So it has 18 wells. It has this tray here that you can use as a palette. I keep here also the colors that I have, and you have also this space you can use if you want. Mine is a bit messy, like I said, because the Sennelier paints, they are made with honey, so they still remain pretty sticky, even it's been months and months and months I put this here. They're still sticky, so I always get a bit of paint in my hands and stuff like that when I'm using it. But otherwise, I think it's a good palette to get if you want to create a special selection of colors that you like. I'm gonna leave a link here for this palette on Amazon. And yes, the last thing I wanted to mention that is not related to palettes at all, but I think is also very good for watercolors, is this watercolor wheel. I know it's very popular using a color wheel for acrylics and other things like that. There's another smaller one that you see easily in shops, but I like particularly this one because it's specific for watercolor, so you can see that the color mixes are really taking into consideration the medium, because if you get the regular color wheel, the printed one like this, sometimes it doesn't really transfer that well to watercolors. They behave a bit differently. So this is a very good one. You see that on this side you have the color schemes, so you have the split complementary, you have the triad, you have the tetrad, and then let's say if you want to do a blue violet, that's the first color you choose. You can then decide, okay, if I want a triad, I have to get a yellow green and a red orange, or if I want a split complementary, I'll get a yellow and an orange, and this way you are sure to get harmonious color palettes. And here in the back you have also a very interesting part of the wheel where you can see how the colors change by adding one of the primaries, or adding black, or adding water. So you see this orange, if added water it gets this tone, if you add black you get this tone, and if you add blue you get this tone, yellow and red. You see, so it's very useful tool. I think it's quite big, but I think it's a very useful tool if you like mixing colors and creating color palettes and studying color combinations in general. So we finally arrived at the end of this video. I hope that you liked the suggestions. I hope that they were useful for you. If you did, please consider liking this video, sharing, subscribing if you haven't done so yet. It will be very helpful for my channel to grow and to bring content to more people. Leave your comments. I love reading comments. If you have any suggestions, if there's anything you would like to see, I love answering your questions as well. So I hope you have a nice weekend, or whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you soon. Bye.